Hey Tommy, we've got some really interesting news, and that is the picture behind us, which is the Bronco doing what?
The Rubicon Trail. Now, the Rubicon Trail is one of the most iconic trails in the United States. It's an extremely challenging, about, 14 miles total of off-roading, but more specifically rock crawling. You're going over boulders, you're going through ditches. It's a really challenging trail, and that's what the Wrangler Rubicon gets its name from.
Yeah, and there's two parts to this story. First, of course, is the fact that the Bronco is on the Rubicon Trail, which is a very difficult trail. Now, we've done it twice, right? We ran it in a Wrangler and we ran it in a Gladiator. And it's about, like you said, 14 miles, and there's two parts to it. What are the two parts?
Well, there's the area going up to Rubicon Springs, and then there's the area after. You can walk, each part in about a few hours. It takes a whole day to drive each section because you're going so slow and you're always crunching into rocks and backing up and trying different lines. But it is doable in a stock Rubicon Wrangler, both the 2 and the 4-door.
Yeah, and Jeep won't put the Rubicon stamp on the Wrangler or Gladiator unless it actually does the Rubicon Trail. And what's interesting about this story is not only that we have pictures of the Bronco doing it, apparently, but that Ford actually took the Bronco into what I would consider Jeep's home turf, right? It's pretty provocative. Out of all the places they could have run, out of all the different places in America they could have gone, they went and took it right to Jeep.
Well, I think Toyota did that with the FJ Cruiser. They did the Rubicon Trail too. That was a big thing they did as well.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a staple, Dad.
Right. No, but this was more than that, because we have Mike Levine, the head of Ford PR, tweeting about this. This was a deliberate, I think, provocative move on the part of Ford to show that their silverback gorilla is the new king in town.
No, I just think the engineers wanted to do something really hard, and they're like, let's just go do the Rubicon.
Why are there all these pictures?
There were a lot of people on the trail.
Look, if they wanted to do it, they could have gone and covered up the Bronco, right, and done it kind of quietly. But no, there's this big, very prominent now post. There's videos which we can show you of the Bronco, basically showing Jeep who's boss.
It's not.
That's how I look at it.
It's not posted by Ford though. So these pictures come from people who are out on the Rubicon, posting to the Bronco 6G forums. So that's where we're getting these images from.
So you're saying just because Ford didn't post them, it's not?
No, I'm sure it was intentional, right? And they knew what they were doing, but I think it was more of let's just see if this Bronco can do what the Wrangler can do.
Why don't you show them the 3 Broncos they put out on the trail, and you'll notice, let's go to that picture. Let me kind of make my point. First of all, notice the 3 Broncos that they took on the Rubicon Trail. They weren't 3 hard tops, they weren't 3 soft tops, it's one of each, right? So you've got a hard top, you've got a hard top with the back removed, and you got a soft top. That is going right after the Jeep buyer. It's saying to the Jeep buyer, look guys, if you want a Wrangler with a hard top, the Bronco now comes with a hard top. If you want a Wrangler with a removable hard top, ours will do that too. If you want a Wrangler with a soft top, ours will,
it's not a confrontational thing. They just wanted to show that
it is absolutely confrontational.
It's not. They just wanted to show the Bronco can do the Rubicon, so they did the Rubicon.
No, this is not a bunch of, you make it sound like this was a bunch of engineers sitting in the back room. Hey, wouldn't it be fun to see, no, this was a direct marketing.
Well, then where's the Ford commercial of them doing it?
Just wait.
Okay.
Just wait. You will see a Ford commercial of them doing it. Just give it some time.
Anyways, so
let's talk about the Broncos.
Yes, let's focus on the actual story. We have 3 different rigs out here that they brought. So they had a 4-door Sasquatch package, which is a crazy off-road trim with the 35s.
Yep.
They had a 2-door, which was allegedly on the 33s, and then they had another 4-door, which was also on a 33-inch tire. So we had kind of a variety of rigs out on the trail, and apparently all 3 of them made it down the trail, because we also see pictures of them at the hotel at the end of the day, all banged up and kind of scuffed up from the rocks they were going over.
Yeah, and they had we don't know, but we think, once again, this is where Tommy and I are going to get into it, we think there was a 4th vehicle. Let's show them that picture.
Well, yeah, so there was another picture of a Wrangler.
And by the way, thank you guys from the Bronco 6G forum.com for letting us use these pictures, and helping us make this video. So we owe those guys a big thanks. But show them the picture with the third, actually the fourth vehicle.
So this is, I think, definitely where like the engineering comes in. They were spotted with a Wrangler as well.
Yeah, and we don't know if that Wrangler belonged to Ford, but I'm guessing that Wrangler was also, it's got manufacturer plates.
Yeah, it's got Michigan manufacturer plates.
There you can see the 3 Broncos, and there's a Wrangler.
It's following the Broncos in pretty much all the shots.
And you notice it's following them.
Yeah, so I think that
it's not leading them.
Well, yeah, so I think this definitely came along. So this picture was taken at the very beginning of the Rubicon.
Yeah.
So clearly someone had torn off this rear fender before they actually had gotten onto the trail. This is kind of the staging area by that lake there.
And we don't know, this may have been a bystander, but we're guessing it's
on
not.
Michigan manufacturer plate.
Which is weird, yeah. So once again, I think it directly competes with the Wrangler, and Ford is out there showing them who is the new big silverback gorilla in town.
So when we did the Rubicon Trail, we did it with Jeep.
Yep.
And we did it in stock Wranglers.
Yes.
So we had 2-door Wrangler Rubicons. Most of the day we were in a 4-door Wrangler Rubicon, bone stock on the stock tires and stock suspension. And then they also brought along a slightly modified one with the Mopar lift and 35s, just for comparison. But we left with, I think, like 8 or 9 Wranglers.
Yeah.
All 8 or 9 completed the trail.
Yeah.
They were all stock, right, with various levels of experience behind the wheel. And the interesting thing is, when we did that trip, they didn't air down the tires. So on one of these videos, you can see the Bronco getting stuck on this obstacle.
Yeah.
All the commenters at Bronco 60 are like, well, they didn't air down the tires. When we did the trail, for some reason, the Jeep guys had us running at like 40 PSI the whole day. So we didn't air down the tires either.
I think you need ground clearance. So let's define the Rubicon Trail. It's not like the usual videos we do where you have to like drive up a mountain, right? It's mainly flat, but there are just a ton of different obstacles where you have to basically either using the line or using a winch or using rock placement drag a vehicle over these giant boulders. And it's not terrifying like a shelf road where you can roll down a big hill. It's just very challenging because you're, first of all, knocking the heck out of the vehicle, right? So it's hitting on all the bumpers, you're hitting on the side of the wheels, you're hitting on the bottom of the vehicle, and it's just really like metal versus rock.
Yeah, and when we did it in the stock Wranglers, I think only once someone had to be pulled out. Emmy got really stuck.
Yep.
And this crazy turn. But basically, it's just 8 hours a day of like someone spotting you. And we went with the Jeep Jamboree guys who are our spotters. And in some of these pictures, we actually recognize some of the faces from the Jeep Jamboree guys.
Yeah, so it looks like they were on the trail as well with them.
Because they're the experts that are really experienced at spotting people down the trail.
And like you'll notice, the third Bronco here has the doors removed. And it's actually really helpful when you're on the Rubicon to be able to remove your doors because you can actually lean over and see what you're about to, drag your bottom over.
So in this video, you'll notice I think it ends before he makes it over the obstacle. I'm sure he made it over the obstacle because they were spotted at the hotel at the end of the day. So I'm not faulting the Bronco that it got stuck. It could have been a driver thing, it could have been a tire thing, it could have been a line thing. I mean, it's such an interesting trail because most of the rigs you see out there are on 37s or 40s.
Yes, or more.
Are like triple locked. We did it in the stock Wranglers and Rubicons, and it was a long day, but they did it relatively unharmed. But even back in the day, like Rick Payway over at Four Wheel Magazine would do it in
flat fender.
Yeah, CJ2As on 30-inch tires. So it can be done in much more basic vehicles. It's just a matter of how long do you want to spend on the trail trying to get over a rock? How much do you want to spend? How much time do you want to spend stacking rocks to get over the thing? So it's cool that Ford went out there and did it. Now we should talk about the Bronco capabilities.
Yep.
Locking differentials are available.
Yes.
Sway bar disconnect is available.
Yes.
Turn assist is available.
Yes.
But what isn't available is a solid front axle.
Yeah, and so that's the real question. How did it do with independent suspension versus, and usually we have found that solid axles are much better at putting power to the ground when you're crawling. They're maybe not as good on the road, but they're certainly certainly better. And I know you Toyota guys, you can get into it about it, but basically it's like a teeter-totter, so one wheel is always on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you high center it.
And you can see kind of when it's going up that rock that it starts to lift the front end.
Yeah.
On a Jeep, it probably would have forced that wheel down to maintain traction with the rock, but with locking differentials, you can really overcome a lot of that with a good line. So I'm really happy to see that Ford is pushing the limits of the Bronco. At the end of this trail, you can see these pictures. They were super beaten up.
Yep.
So either they were running it into things constantly, because when we got off the trail in the Rubicons, like the underside were really pretty thrashed.
And some other bits and pieces got pretty damaged.
So like some people like bent fender flares.
Yeah.
But they made it through. Like, no one was leaking anything. There was no like parts that really had to be replaced with new parts that couldn't kind of be bent back into position. So it'll be curious to see. I'd love to put them side by side to see how they compare, because it's just hard to tell when it's just a picture of a Bronco and a rock.
So there you go. We've got two different opinions, and the question I'd love for you guys to answer in the comments below is, did Ford do this deliberately to make a statement? Did they basically come into Jeep's house, right, and say, plant their flag and say, we are here, and we are here to grab your customers? Or did they do this because, as Tommy says, this is the premier off-road trail in America, and they wanted to prove and test the metal?
Or I think it
Literally.
could be both.
Yeah?
It's probably both.
Okay. Well, let us know in the comments below. At the end of the day, it's great to see competition because I think it's going to it already has made it better. We have a friend, we just did a video that's going to air this weekend on TFL Car, where basically we took the Defender up a pretty challenging trail called Red Cone and compared it to the old Defender and, of course, the Gladiator.
Yep.
And the guy who lent us that is both a Defender and a Jeep guy, and he can't wait to buy the new V8 Hemi, right?
Bronco.
No, not Bronco.
Oh!
Wrangler, dude.
Wrangler, sorry.
Yeah.
Looking at the picture.
Right, and the reason that's coming out, I think, is because people have been asking for, a Hemi Wrangler for 20 years, right? They've been actually doing it themselves, and the year that the Bronco is introduced, all of a sudden Jeep announces that there's going to be a 392 under the hood of the Wrangler.
Okay, well, let us know what you think in the comment section below, and head over to TFLcar.com because we've got a lot more Bronco coverage coming.
See you guys next time. Ciao.